One of the creepiest parts of the truly scary movie, The Conjuring, is the evil possessed doll Annabelle, who makes up the cornerstone of Ed and Lorraine Warren's spooky museum of trophies. Not keeping the doll similar, director James Wan redesigned Annabelle for the movie, giving her a much more disturbing appearance, but in real life, Annabelle was just a Raggedy Ann doll. A woman bought the used doll from a hobby store in 1970 and gifted it to her daughter named Donna as a birthday present. Donna was a college student at that time and lived with her roommate Angie in a small apartment. Neither of them thought the doll was going to be anything special than a kid's toy, but as some time passed, they noticed that Annabelle seemed to move on its own. At first, the changes in the position of the doll were very subtle, and they considered that the doll might have been jostled. But the movements increased, and it seemed to become fully mobile within a few weeks. The girls would leave the apartment with Annabelle on Donna's bed and would return to find it on the couch. Angie's fiancé Leo, who lived with the girls since the doll arrived, admitted that he hated the doll and there was something wrong with it. But being modern women, the girls denied believing him. Annabelle's actions got even weirder when the three began to find pieces of parchment paper in the house with messages like "Help us" or "Help Leo" written on it. To make the whole thing creepier, nobody in the house had parchment papers. One night, Donna returned home to find Annabelle in her bed with blood on her hands. It was coming from inside the doll itself, and that was enough for Donna to seek for some expert advice. Donna and Angie contacted a medium, and a seance was held. The medium told the girls that long before their apartment complex had been built, there had been a field on that property. A 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins had been found dead in that field. Her spirit remained, and when the doll came into the house, the spirit of the little girl latched on it. She found Donna and Angie to be trustworthy. She wanted to stay with them and be loved. Being nursing students, their real job was to be kind and nurturing towards people. Donna and Angie agreed to let Annabelle stay with them, but this was just the beginning of the real horror. One night, Leo awoke in panic from a deep sleep. He had a recurring bad dream once again, though this time something seemed different. When he looked down towards his feet, he saw Annabelle. It slowly began to slide up his leg, moved over his chest, and then stopped. Its stuffed hands closed around his throat, choking him out. Leo was already paralyzed, and at the point of asphyxiation, he blacked out. After a few days, Angie and Leo were planning for a road trip. Suddenly, rustling sounds coming from Donna's room aroused fear that someone had possibly broken into the apartment. Leo crept over the door, listening to the noises. When he opened the door, everything was on the place except for Annabelle, who was off the bed and was sitting in a corner. When he neared the doll, he sensed the back of his neck burning. He turned around to find nobody in the room. He looked at his t-shirt only to find a series of raking claw marks, rough ditches in his flesh that burned. He was sure that Annabelle had done it. The claw marks began healing almost immediately and were gone totally in 2 days. Donna was finally believing that the spirit in the house was not of a young girl, but inhuman and demonic in nature. Donna contacted a priest named Father Hagen. Father Hagen felt it was a spiritual matter and contacted a higher superior authority, Father Cook, who immediately contacted the Warrens. Ed and Lorraine came to see the doll, and just in a while they came to a conclusion that there was an evil demon attached to the doll. They warned that the demons don't possess things, and the real target here was Donna's body. An exorcism was performed by Father Cook to cleanse the apartment. At Donna's request, the Warrens took possession of Annabelle. When they drove on the road, the engine kept cutting out and the brakes gave them trouble. Ed sprinkled holy water on the doll, and the disturbances stopped for that moment. After they reached home, Ed set Annabelle in a chair next to his desk. It began levitating. In a couple of weeks, it began to appear in different rooms in Warren's house. When Father Jason Bradford came to exorcise Annabelle, he did not take it seriously and said that it was just a doll and it cannot hurt anyone. On his way back home, he met a fatal accident in which his vehicle was completely destroyed, yet he survived. The Warrens had a special case built for Annabelle inside the Occult Museum where she resides to this day. Since the case was built, Annabelle no longer appeared to move, but she is thought to be responsible for the death of a young man of 20. The man went to the case and began to bang it, insisting that if the doll can put scratches on people, referring to Leo, he also wanted to be scratched. Ed asked him to leave. On his way back home with his girlfriend, he lost control of his motorcycle and died in an accident, but his girlfriend survived and was hospitalized for over a year. On asking, she said that they were talking about the doll and laughing when they lost control of the motorcycle.